Hello, hello, and welcome to the From Nature to Nurture podcast. My name is Danielle, and welcome to the very first episode. I've been wanting to do a podcast for so long, so I'm really excited to be bringing this to you all today and inviting you in on this plant journey. So, two things I'm going to cover in this first intro podcast is a bit about myself and my background, so you know where I am coming from. And then I will dive into what I dream for this space to be, what I envision. So, without further ado, let's get started. So, first off, like I said, my name is Danielle. I am a herbalist and business owner. My business is called Root and Wander Collective. And when I first got into herbalism, I entered in a very untraditional kind of way. So, this was, oh man, over 10 years ago. I had a friend and we were getting into meditation, and I have a really hard time quieting my mind down. My thoughts are always spiraling and going super fast. I get distracted really easily, and so meditation has always been difficult for me. So she decided that I should try a tea. Now, if you're a plant person and you're listening to this episode, I am going to describe how the plant felt and my experience, but I'm not going to tell you what it is first because I want to see if you can guess what it is. It's a very unconventional first plant to work with, and anytime I tell someone who knows anything about this plant that this was my intro to herbalism, they are shocked, but it will make sense all later. So she makes me this tea. Now, two things you need to know about me is that I love to try new things. And the second thing is that I also have a lot of allergies. So I was honestly really hesitant about trying this plant that I've never worked with, never heard of before. Brand new baby. Like I wasn't anywhere on the herbal spectrum. I worked a little bit with essential oils, but that's really it. I didn't really know anything about the plants. So she makes me this tea. It smells disgusting. All I can see is that it's a root, and that's the only clue you're gonna get before I tell you more. So it was some sort of root tea, and as soon as I put it to my mouth, my lips and the inside of my mouth and my tongue all went numb. Now, that is a very classic reaction to this plant. Very, very normal, not an allergic reaction, but I have had allergic reactions that felt really similar. And there is something out there that I also have had a really big reaction to, and I still don't know what it was today. So I was really nervous and I started kind of freaking out internally, but I kept going and I kept just kind of like paying attention to my throat to feel like if my breathing changed at all. Other than the numbness, everything felt fine, but the numb was really worrying. And so then I told my friend like how I was feeling, and she told me that was normal, so that calmed me a little bit, but I was still hesitant. Now, I got maybe 4 sips into this tea, and it was a horrid taste, and I couldn't stand it, but I was like, I just want to meditate, let's try it. Now, getting into this tea, I started feeling my brain slow down. Like my thoughts started slowing, and they weren't spiraling as hard. They weren't pinging all over the place. And it was really interesting. And by the time I got done with the whole cup of tea, I had a silent mind, which I'd never experienced before. And I was in shock, super in shock. Now, if you haven't guessed it by now, that plant was kava kava. It's a very strong hypnotic sedative, and it is known for specifically for like the circulating thoughts, the spiraling mind. And it's not a plant that you normally start with because it's so strong and so potent, but also that is what made it so enticing to me. That's what made it so exciting because within minutes I could see that the plants were working. So it was really affirming that herbal medicine was real, and it really changed my life. Right from then I was obsessed. I wanted to study all of the plants. I wanted to know all of the things, which is super common when you're starting at herbalism. It's very overwhelming and there's so much to learn, but all of the information is scattered all over the place. So I would get up every morning and I would start listening to a podcast or playing a YouTube video while I got ready for work. Then during my lunch breaks at work, I would pull up that same YouTube video or podcast or start a new one if I had finished it. And then after work, I would read a book. Like I was constantly submerging myself into this herbal world. And I I went into all aspects of herbalism. I learned a little bit about Ayurveda. I learned a little bit about Western herbalism. I dove more into like the energetic working with plants of like flower essences and working with archetypes and folklore. I just wanted to soak it all up, all of it. And that's how I was for a while, but it was also really difficult because I wanted an in-person teacher. I wanted someone to walk me through everything. I am someone who loves to learn and I always have new projects going, but I also really wanted to learn the right way. And I'm saying right in quotations. Mostly just from a safety aspect, but like I wanted a more structured education than just picking through books and YouTube videos. But I couldn't find anything that was live. I could find pre-recorded classes, um, and like I said, like YouTube videos and books and podcasts, but all of those don't have that live being able to ask questions in the moment aspect. And I couldn't find anyone to learn with hands on. Herbalism is something that you really need to have a hands on experience with. Like you can study all you want and, take classes online, listen to podcasts, but you need to have that experimentation process because it's such a big topic, but humanity has had such a long-standing, intricate relationship with the plant world. And so even just touching plants, even just looking at plants and not even ingesting them, you still get this energetic experience where humanity has been touching and interacting with plants for so long. And so it's like going back down through your ancestral line and back through humanity as a whole, where we all used to live so much closer to nature and it's such a visceral experience and you can learn so much by just smelling a plant, by just holding a plant, by looking at the environment that it grows in, looking at what it grows around, where you can't get that just from reading a book. You need that hands-on aspect of interacting with the plants and building a relationship with them. So I still couldn't find any in-person teachers, and so I just like truly muddled my way through herbalism for a long time. Now I know a lot and I've taken in-person classes and I've gone to conferences and everything, but it was very overwhelming and kind of scary in the beginning because I didn't know if I was doing things correctly. There's only so much that you can learn without the hands-on aspect. And even when I went hands-on, I made a lot of mistakes and I made either subpar formulas or I burned an oil or all sorts of weird stuff. So all of that to say, for about about 5 years. Yeah, about 5 to 6 years, somewhere in there. I just did herbalism by myself. I would make fun little herbal things for my friends and family. And people would come to me and say, "Oh, I have a cough. What can you give me?" Or, "Oh, I'm working in the garden. I feel really depleted. Like, how can I up my minerals?" Whatever. And I would do little customs, but like I never did it as a business. And it wasn't until 2020 when my husband suggested that I try to start an herbal business. And it was like a duh moment. Like, of course I should start an herbal business. Like, this is something that I love. And I want, I really wanted to teach others. That's what really lights me up is sharing my knowledge, getting getting people in front of the plants, getting them hands-on, teaching them about what grows around them. And so I started my business with just education and custom products. And I did that for about a year, and then I added in a product line for a few years. And then just this last year, I decided to stop the product line because it just wasn't lighting me up anymore and refocused back on education and customs, which I still did all throughout that 4 year process. So I am in year 5 right now of my business, and it is so much fun. There is nothing in this world like watching someone's eyes light up when they make a plant connection. It's so cool. And I'm just so grateful for all of my students who let me into their lives and come to me with really deep health issues and insecurities and worries. And so that's where I'm at now with my herbal journey. My plan is to just keep teaching. I want every house to have an herbalist. That's a big saying in the herbal community, but I feel that like every house needs someone who knows how to work with the plants right outside your door. One big common misconception in herbalism is that you can't be an herbalist and live in a city. You need to have, that big sprawling garden and acres of land to tend to and all these things. And you don't. I have students that live in an apartment. I personally live in the middle of a city right now, and cars drive past all the time. I have a little garden, but you don't need acres and acres of land and all this space to be able to work with the plants, even if you're just working with your native plants that you're finding out at parks and whatnot. There is so much that you can do without having a garden by working just with the plants that grow around you. So that is my mission, to help breed more positive, confident herbalists who love the land and want to take care of it. A big aspect in herbalism that I am truly passionate about is building a reciprocal relationship with the land. And what that looks like is you care for the land and the land cares for you. It's very simple. It's how nature works. Everything works together. And that's something that's really missing in our modern society. We often just view the land as an extractive source, something to take from, something to manipulate, something that we're fighting against all the time. And while I am constantly going through deer battles with trying to eat everything in my garden, I still appreciate what they bring to the ecosystem. So that is a bit about myself. I'm sure as we keep going through this podcast journey together, you will learn more about me and my process and my beliefs, as well as obviously my knowledge. So now that we're done with that, we'll go into how I envision this podcast becoming. So I plan on doing solo episodes and interviews. The solo episodes will be a combination of mini herbal lessons and fun stories about folklore. Plant folklore is one of my favorite topics because it's so fascinating to see how different cultures and different times throughout history, how the people have worked with the plants and the relationships that they built. I love seeing the correlation between kind of funny folklore beliefs and then that being mirrored in their physical scientific medicine. It's fascinating. There's so much you can learn when you dig into folklore. So we will cover folklore as well as herbal medicine from like the scientific lens of how the plants are physically working on our bodies. And then in the interview episodes, I would love to speak with other herbalists, naturalists, eco-conservationists, as well as other natural healing practitioners, because I love seeing this beautiful multifaceted lens that is this planet and our bodies and how we are a part of nature and not apart from nature. So that is my dream for this podcast. And if you guys have any suggestions of people you would like to hear interviewed, or if you yourself think that you fit this bill, feel free to send me an email. The link is going to be in the show notes. And that's the wrap up for this first episode. Super simple, a bit of background. I hope that you stick around and we get to know each other more and get to dig into this plant world together. If you would like to learn more about my offerings, you can visit my website at rootandwandercollective.com, and I hope to see you along the plant path.